So the announcement, of course, has come down that Rush will no longer be touring. They will no longer be a touring band. May still be a studio band, may have other endeavors in mind. So we need to pay a little bit of tribute to this group. We need to give them some of their just due. And really, we've done many videos within the past week or so of 5 reasons that people hate bands. Let's do one of the opposite, 5 reasons why people love Rush. We know some of the reasons why Rush may be avoided by some individuals, and we've heard everything from Geddy Lee's voice to perhaps the pretentiousness of some of the music, but I guarantee you, whenever Tom Sawyer comes on, they still tap their toes, even if they want to claim that they haven't. So, without further ado, let's unveil 5 reasons that some people love the band Rush. Number 5 is actually going to be the reason that most people dislike the band, Geddy Lee's voice. Geddy Lee has one of the more unique voices within the confines of not only progressive metal, but also, or progressive rock, but just in rock, period. It's very iconic. It's very recognizable. It's something where whenever you hear a song from Rush, whether it be Tom Sawyer or Limelight, and I'm only staying with moving pictures there, that you could easily go with others, that you know that it's a Rush song based off of that voice, based off of that iconic howl of the iconic Canadian man. And it's just a voice that actually brings a lot to the songs. It's one where perhaps in many other bands this voice would not make a lot of sense. It wouldn't sync up. Like you wouldn't imagine Geddy Lee being in a death metal band and having it sync up. Could you imagine that? I wish I had the power and technology to make that happen. How about one of you guys out there do that and send it to me, and I will more than happily revisit this idea. But either way, Geddy Lee's voice is just as iconic as the music itself, considering it is part of it. And whenever it is amplified along with the words that have been given to the world by Neil, it is one that just creates absolute magic. And that iconic nature also is what makes this band such an easy group to get into, because they are so easily recognizable. Number 4, the strength of the 1970s material. That's right, there's a lot of folks that will avoid the band because of the 70s, because it's a little bit dense, hard to get into. It is really the definition of epic prog rock. Fantasy prog rock. It is one that really ranks alongside bands such as Yes and Genesis for the depth. And I'm talking, of course, more so of Gabriel-era Genesis. But the Rush albums from the 1970s include, of course, 2112, A Farewell to Kings, as well as the earliest records of this group. And it just showcases a band that's coming off of a real classic rock, kind of a Led Zeppelin clone appeal from Canada, and then eventually morphing their own sound, crafting their own identity, and really just causing a lot of waves to be to really be caused by this sound, by this storytelling. And it was one that was amplified also by the fact that it was a scene of the time that was getting quite a lot of traction. It was one that a lot of folks really did respect, and still respect to this day. The 1970s era music may be a little bit more difficult for modern fans to get into that are used to perhaps the more poppy singles that are heard off of moving pictures, or even some of the more hard-edged material that you'll get off of albums such as Clockwork Angels. But those that eventually revisit these albums usually end up absolutely loving it. And really, it's one of those ideas where if you end up loving 2112, it is worth exploring the other albums that surround it, considering there is a writing process that has some similarity, however, has some different motivation. Number 3, Neil Peart's superior drumming. Neil is seen as one of the most iconic drummers in all of rock and roll. All of the history. It's one where his name is almost synonymous with drumming excellence, and it has been that way for years. The band's kit is absolutely ridiculous, his skill is absolutely absurd, and he is oftentimes cited by the generation that is a little older than me as the icon and the reason why Rush is a godly band. Perhaps it's getting to be a little bit crazy where 2 of the reasons are based off the iconic nature of 2 of the members. You could throw Alex Lifeson in onto this one as well, although he's the name that is not mentioned quite as much, though he deserves the attention just as much, considering his coupling with Geddy Lee on the guitar and the bass is really what causes that brick foundation that the drums are able to really create and craft and sort of mold the rest of the song idea around. Without one, there is not the other, and it's something that creates and crafts something beautiful. Number 2, moving pictures. One of the biggest reasons people love Rush is because of the Moving Pictures album. It's because of songs such as Tom Sawyer. They do have iconic singles. They do have iconic moments. Not to mention, these are all tracks that just seem to speak to certain generations, and it's being exposed to other generations. Rush is getting a nice treatment that a lot of prog rock bands, or really just bands period from the time frame, have definitely not gotten. They're getting the movie treatments and the commercial treatments. These are iconic songs for a reason. It is because they replicate a mood, and they cause a mood to really occur. A smile on your face, perhaps, either that or it causes you to tap your toe, as stated in the introduction, or for you to start singing along. These iconic songs are certainly what help, but Moving Pictures, the album of theirs that has the most acclaim as far as sales is concerned, is one of the biggest starting points, and it's actually what causes a lot of people to get hooked onto Rush. It causes them to become lifelong Rush fans that want to explore the remainder of their discography. This is a band where it is very seldom that you see a individual buy Moving Pictures and then just stop their Rush journey. And that brings us to the number 1 reason why people love Rush, and that is just the 3 individuals, their big hearts, and also just the way in which they represent their band. This is a group that has been together for, pushing 45 to 50 years, and really it's closer to 45, but either way, this is also a group whose iconic status is also based around their community achievements and also based around their longevity without really having any significant time where they were apart. There was a time frame in the early 2000s where Geddy Lee did release a solo record, but the band was still technically together and still had material perhaps in mind. This was coming off of a 1990s release that was just kind of the end of a lower portion of the mountain, but still not all of that bad. The Rush discography, whenever we pick that back up, which will hopefully be very soon, please have patience, will no doubt really display that. And then, of course, moving on to the 2000s and getting great albums out of that decade, moving into the 2010s with Clockwork Angels, show that this band, even with Geddy going solo and the other band members having specific projects that they want to embark on, were ones that were very welcoming to the community. These are 3 individuals that definitely foster this genre, whether it be progressive rock, whether it be rock music. They are folks that want people to be a part of this. They do not want it to be an exclusive nature idea. They are promoters of music. Musically, are music men and manly musicians. And that's what we all should aspire to be within this confine, within this construct. But Rush is a group that their personalities certainly shine forward, and the most recent showcasing of that was their induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where one member, his entire speech consisted of nothing but blah, 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 blah. So in honor of that, I will conclude this video with the same idea. Blah, 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 Rush. Blah, 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. In case you need a translation for that, and that is 5 reasons why people love the iconic progressive rock, classic rock band Rush. If you have some comment of something or a reason that you love the band that was not mentioned in this video, or you felt were perhaps a little bit more important and more iconic than these 5 reasons, please put them down in the comments below. Please, I beg you, do that. Let's have a great discussion. Let's have a terrific discussion in remembrance of this group. Let's celebrate this group. They're not done. They're not finished, but still, we should do this. Please. I'll be your best friend. I'll be your best friend forever. And get you ice cream. Nah. But yeah, seriously, if there's anything that I missed, throw it down in the comments below. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this band. Let's celebrate this band. And I'm coverkillernation. I'll chat with you guys tomorrow. If you've seen Rush live, I want to know about your experience in the comments, because I've never gotten, and I will never get the pleasure, which is it's a damn shame. It really is. I will regret that forever. But such is life. I'm coverkillernation, and I'll talk to you later.